This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. This podcast is sponsored by Lever Consulting, editing with a purpose. Check them out at leverconsulting.com for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Scooter. Thanks for pulling up a chair with us.
We are not experts on any of these topics, but we are hoping to spark something.
Like an idea, a conversation, or even a revelation.
Well, let's give it a shot.
Let's talk about stuff. All right.
Let's go.
All right.
If you want it, you can get it.
I clicked record. Yeah, and then she always gets us kicked off because she sings a song.
But not good enough for them to recognize what the song is.
That's not true.
Have you been kicked off before? Like for real?
No.
Okay. I was like...
This is one warning. Yeah, one warning. No, wait. No, not on this show.
All right.
We wrote all of our own stuff. Let's do that real quick. It's like, if you guys are listening to this show, all the intro music, all the stuff that you hear throughout here, the little segue music and all that stuff is written by people we know and a little bit by myself.
I thought you would say little ditties.
Little ditties.
Yeah.
Yeah, so always, I'm gonna do a whole different shout out at the end, but I was like, since you brought that up.
Yeah. Shout out.
Tyson.
Love Tyson.
Eli.
Yep, love Eli.
And myself.
I like you. You're okay.
Yeah, Well, welcome. Across the table from me, as always, is Sarah.
And across from me is Meetup/Scooter.
I wore a Meetup shirt, okay?
Yeah.
It's not sponsored by Meetup.com, but
maybe
there's some great networking you can do on Meetup.com.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, that wasn't pleasant at all. Your neck just burnt.
It really did.
Sorry.
You're sorry.
Oh.
I thought I was possessed. Something came out of my chest like...
That was weird. And we're back.
Yeah, I have exorcised the demon.
Oh, goodness. All
this
right.
is starting off really well.
Yeah. Lots of giggles.
Well, now that what have we been up to? Same thing as always.
Today was very long.
Yeah.
It was a very long day.
Well, it's been a long week.
Yeah. But today, just finished off the long week.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on the release day, where most of these shows we're recording a day or two before release day to keep the the vibe going.
That's not why.
No, it's because we're procrastinators.
Yeah.
But tell us what you think. I know you're at the beginning of this thing, but tell us what you think about us maybe doing a live show, because I do live shows for my company. Every week, well, mostly every week. So we have the capabilities of just turning on a camera and putting these into lives. Maybe some human interaction.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Did you say human?
Human interaction.
All right.
What, did it sound right?
It's like
human?
I thought I said human.
Cumin?
And I wasn't sure what that was.
Cumin? Cumin?
Coriander.
Time.
All right. We got to start the show for reals.
Okay, well, this is what our show is about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about some things that have happened this week that were good.
Good thing. Good and positive. So mine are random. But I did just buy tickets for a work conference in Denver for next month. So that's exciting. Networking for us is always a big deal because we're growing. And I've never been to Denver, so that's cool. And
just the airport. For you.
It was nice, though.
I've been to Denver, but yeah.
Pretty decent airport. And then for the kids-wise, we got uniform fittings almost done for marching band season, which is a big deal in our neighborhood. It's a very big deal. It's my favorite time of year. It's better than Christmas. If you've never been to a marching band competition for high schoolers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the fitting time of the year. I was like, that sucks.
No, just marching band season. But it's nice to have the uniforms like almost done. I only have to like sew 4 more and
iron all of them.
100 of them. But then we're good to go, and then the exciting stuff starts. I don't know if this is a good thing or
Do
a
I swallow
shout
loud?
out.
I feel like I swallow loud. Can you hear me when I swallow?
Yeah, that's a weird statement to make.
But I was like, I took a sip and I was like,
you're just a
I think she can hear me.
You're just a loud person.
I know.
I have one more.
Yeah.
So it's been nice and also strange because I don't think I've ever had a career, quote unquote, before where people were like interested in what I do, and I find what I do interesting. Like I think I truly find like the numbers and the puzzles and all that stuff super interesting for me. But I feel like lately, over the last 6 months, so many people have been interested in what I do, and I'm just like, all right, I'm excited that you're interested because it's there's so many people retiring and not enough people entering, so it's cool to have like people interested, and I'm like, oh my gosh, let me open the door for you so you can see what it's about, and if you don't like it, that's cool too, because
So if you're interested in what she does, slide into our DMs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, seriously, hit us up because I know it's not it's not Amway.
No.
It's not a pyramid anything.
I don't sell anything.
She doesn't make any more or less money if you get a job or don't.
Absolutely not.
Zero. It's more about self-sustainability. And it's literally, it doesn't help her out at all. It's an actual business. She's an auditor.
Yeah.
So
you would have that. I mean, not you personally, but people are interested. It's like you get to be your own person, like your own company. And then if like at some point along the line you're like, I don't want to do it anymore, I want to work for somebody else. There's like a gajillion companies you can go work for and make really good money still. And it's like, I don't know. It's kind of, it's cool how in this day and age, it's one of those jobs where you don't have to have a degree to be successful at this. You just have to have some motivation and some, what's the word? Like self-thought. What's something like
common sense?
That too, but where you can look back on yourself and be like, I'm not making enough money because I'm not doing enough work.
Self-reflection? Perspective?
Oh, perspective, that's good.
Reflection? Yeah. Reflective. Being reflective?
Yeah. Like you literally determine how much you make because it depends on how much you turn in, and I kind of like that.
Yeah. It's one of those, and it's not like I was saying, it's not a promo thing or anything. It's she really helps people get their feet going. I was just saying, not their foot in the door, but kind of their foot in the door and get them up to speed. And she benefits zero financially for that.
That's very true.
Zero.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's literally out of the kindness of her heart because most auditors do not do that.
That's true.
So she is she's an elite in her class for sure. Yeah.
All right, what's your good things?
Yeah, I'm not going to really help anybody, but like you are offering to help other people. People have been helping me, so I'm going to give that a little. Like it's been a good thing. We have an expo coming up. This it'll be a day after this. This is released after the day after today. So it's a fundraiser for our nonprofit, Pull Up a Chair Foundation, and we've barely sold any tickets. I'm being very honest. We really have barely sold any tickets.
It's rough.
But the cool thing is the overhead is next to nothing.
Right.
Because we have so many of the local businesses and community members that we know and love have donated so much, not just their time, but like money from their companies, there's a list from Hemley Cider to Log Off Brewing to Crocker Museum to Sac Youth Center to
Kong Brewing, Yard House and Doko.
Yard House. What was it? There's just so many people that have donated of Scattered Comics.
Yeah.
It's been overwhelmingly awesome.
Yes.
Especially this last week, because if anybody, and we might have this as another podcast about planning events. If you've ever planned an event, it seems like everybody's really quiet until like a week before.
Yeah.
And then everybody wants something or is very active and like, I could have used you a month ago.
Right.
And I think anybody that does any sort of event planning or any sort of media or any sort of business is like, the last minute is so stressful.
Yes.
But when it comes to donations, it's over the top so helpful.
Yeah.
At any moment.
Yeah.
So I have to say thank you so much for that, because I've been running around town more than I've ever have in the last year, just picking up items that people are giving to us, like giving to us.
You know what's cool is I'm excited about the one on Saturday, but I'm super excited for the one next year. Because I know this year was kind of rough. Like, I feel like we planned late, and we were late to the game for almost everything for this one. Like, more even so than we have in years past. So I feel like for next year, it's going to be even better, because we're going to have so much time to plan for it. Like, literally starting Sunday after this event ends, we get to plan for the next one and to make it even better.
That's a good feeling, and I love your excitement. But what really ends up happening is a week or two after we have a big event, everybody's like, yes, let's do all this stuff, and then everybody fades away for the next 10 months.
But even if we only...
Just saying, I've been doing this for a while.
Right.
And everybody's really excited right after the event to help out. High. Yeah, they have that endorphin kick in. The endorphins kick in, and they're like, "Woo, this is awesome!" And then they disappear.
Well, that's literally
for almost 10 to 11 months.
I feel like we're gonna get into the planning thing, but I feel like that's literally why when you have an event, that at that time you announce your next one. Because then, if you say, "Oh man, we can't wait to see you at our next event," but there's no date, they're just like, there's gonna be another event eventually. But if there's a date, they're like, "Oh, now we have to get ready for this event because we already have the date scheduled."
Okay, so look at it this way: it's going to be in September of every year.
Yeah,
I've already talked about the venue and everything about where it's going to be and what we're going to do.
All right, people, September 2023. Put on your calendar.
Yeah, and it'll probably be unless something crazy happens, it'll be the third Saturday in September of next year.
All right.
We've already kind of verified that.
He said it.
I said it. We're going to make it happen.
Put it on the books. I'm already looking up what the date is going to be. So
that was my good thing. I mean, we got a little bit sidetracked, but you know what? We'll do a whole...
Yeah.
After the event, I think we're going to do a podcast about planning events and how to get them... How to make it happen.
What it looks like.
Yeah, what it looks like,
yeah.
and how much work it takes and how much work people think it takes.
Yes.
So we'll do that next time.
Advise me not. I'm excited about this one. Scooter says he has a lot to say about this topic.
I do not have a lot to say about this topic.
What?
I have a lot to say about what you said about this topic. Two different things. So what? Oh, okay, I'm going to look it up because this is by a listener. Hopefully, she's probably not a listener. It's fine.
What?
she'll be like, "Excuse me, I listened to your podcast." It's my oldest daughter. Gave us some topics, and then my second oldest daughter confirmed a couple of the topics. So we're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with what they kind of agreed upon. We asked them, I think, less than an hour ago.
Yeah.
What is it? Does midlife have to be a crisis?
Yes.
That's the question.
Now, what did I say that was so offensive?
I don't know. Say it again. Say it again while I sit over and click my pen.
Well, the first thing I said was, you'd have to tell me I haven't hit midlife yet. And then the second thing I said was, well, wasn't I your midlife crisis? And then he got real quiet.
I got real quiet because I wanted the microphones on for this conversation.
Right, let's go.
Let's go.
Well, you have to... I said what I said.
Bring it.
So what
Come at me, bro.
What are your thoughts on what I said?
Which one? Tell me the first. What? I mean,
the first thing I said was, I haven't hit midlife yet.
Okay. Here's how I like to do almost everything. Let's break down midlife crisis. Okay.
Let's break down midlife.
Yeah, let's break that down. But let's also break down the topic was, does midlife have to be a crisis?
Right.
So that's the topic. So how do we stick to that topic, talk about a midlife crisis? So I think we need to define midlife crisis and then kind of tear it apart.
Yeah, I don't like the term crisis.
I don't mind a term. It's just a word. Midlife crisis. Yeah, I think that. But
here's the hard part too. Is like when you say midlife, I feel like most people think 50, right? Like everyone's gonna live to 100, so midlife is 50. I feel like it depends on what do your genes say. Because if your parents and grandparents only live to the age of 76, 77, and you're 37 years old, 30 years old, you've now hit your midlife.
Let's say that again. Repeat what you just said.
If your family only lives to a certain age, divide that by 2, and that's your midlife.
And let's get into some math then. Are you, according to history of how long your family lives, are you in your midlife?
No.
That's not true.
That is true. Both of my grandmas are well into their 90s.
So that's 2.
Yeah.
Out of how many? How many of your relatives?
Well, I can only count. I feel like it's like my parents, my grandparents, and then
their parents, and
right.
So you're counting all of science off of 2 people.
Okay.
All your heritage.
That's true.
You're counting just the people that have lived to be the oldest.
Well, my
That's all
dad's
you're
still
counting.
alive.
Okay, and he's how old?
My dad is 71.
Got
I
it.
think. And then my mom passed away at 74.
Okay.
Is my dad 69? How's my dad?
Wow. How would I know before you?
I'm going to say 70s. I can't remember.
Okay. So, out of 4 people, now the number is getting a little lower.
No, really. I mean, no. It's not getting lower.
Math. Do you know what an average is?
I do. I feel like mom was a fluke, so I don't count it.
Okay, but she might not be a fluke.
Mom would have been 85.
I agree. Okay, then 85.
With better health insurance, I feel like she would have been 85. So
I think isn't that most of America?
No.
Because look at Sicily, like they're living to be over 100.
Yeah.
So
I still feel like genetics wise, my history lives there. Old people. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say midlife for me is probably like 44.
Okay, so you're saying midlife is literally the middle of when you're born to when you're dead.
Yes.
That's your die hard like midlife.
I feel like that's what midlife means. Yes.
Does it?
I don't know. To me, that's what midlife means. Middle of my life.
Could you entertain midlife being when somebody gets comfortable financially, emotionally, socially? Could that not be an interpretation of what your midlife is? Like, I've grown up and I'm good to go.
So you're saying people can have multiple midlives? Or, like, is that still just one specific point in your life?
Oh, I feel like you don't know me if that's the question you're going to ask. So.
You've had, like, 18 lives.
But I've also had, like, 18 midlife crises. Crises.
Yeah.
And I never looked at them as a crisis. And I will never look at them as a crisis.
Yeah.
So I love that question because that question, this topic came from my oldest daughter. So she's seen all of them.
All the crises.
Yeah. And so that was kind of nice. And especially and my second oldest daughter is only like 3 years younger.
Yeah.
So she's seen all of them. So that's where I'm coming at going, is this subject really just because I could be in my midlife because I just turned 49 as of 2 days ago. Right? Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Well, 2 days ago.
Oh, when this airs. Yeah.
Well, I think we have to upload it right after we record it.
By we, he means he.
Yes, me. I like to say we, like we're a team.
I know.
But I just do the work. That's fine. It's most other things, too.
You can do this.
I'm trying to stay focused. What I'm saying is when you feel comfortable financially and do all that, I think that's when most people hit some sort of midlife. I think that's what they define a midlife crisis as, is I'm comfortable. Where's the spark in my life? I think that's the definition of midlife crisis.
You know what's interesting is that I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it as you get to a point and something happens to where you take a step back and think, what the F have I been doing with my life? Mm-hmm. For me, my midlife quote-unquote crisis was my mom passing. For me, taking a step, actually when my mom got sick, is literally taking a step back and thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? What do I want to do? And where am I at? So I feel like when they say crisis, to me it's more of a taking a step back in your life and thinking, where do I want to go from here? Because I have all of the capabilities to do something else. So what am I going to do now? And I think when people say it's a crisis because it's something out of your character.
Right.
And they're like, well, you never wanted to ride a motorcycle before. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I just didn't have the opportunity because I was living my life in a certain mold that I thought I was supposed to be in.
Yeah. And that's the weird thing is, like, for most people when they have this crisis, it's not even that they don't have the ability to do it. It's like they never... I don't think they thought people would support them in the decision to do it. And so now they're just like, well, F it. I'm going to do this. I'm literally going to change my entire life because now... I feel like I tell the kids all the time, life is too damn short. Like, this is it. This is what I have. And I think sometimes it takes certain things to hit you in life, no matter what that might be, to where you're like, all right, life's too short. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go to that job anymore. I don't want to drive my minivan anymore. I don't want to do X, Y, Z anymore. I want to do something else.
Minivans are evil.
Oh, no, they're not.
Oh, we could do a whole episode on that.
We're not.
So... let's go back to the question, the discussion, the first thing that you said to me. Noah, what was that?
It was a joke, but I'm too young, basically, to have hit midlife.
But yet again, you have explained to me that when your mom got sick, you hit one. You hit a midlife crisis.
But I didn't hit midlife. I hit a midlife crisis.
Okay, well, this subject matter is midlife
but
crisis.
But you said break it down, so I was breaking down. But, yes.
Right. So,
I definitely did.
So midlife, I think what we're coming out of this one is midlife and midlife crisis are two different things.
Yes.
And I think, it's kind of like, what's the new update in the dictionary from where literally now could be defined as figuratively?
What the heck?
Yeah. Well, because we're a slang language.
That doesn't even make any sense.
No, it does not. But you got to think about that for a second. You got to think about all the words that we use.
Yeah, wrong.
Incorrectly.
Yeah.
But yet, if we use them incorrectly enough, they become correct.
Right.
So, when we talk about midlife crisis. Oh, I punched a mic. So, midlife crisis has its own definition.
Yeah.
Crisis has a definition, midlife has a definition, but if you put them together, that means something completely different from each other. I feel that's how I feel.
I agree.
So, you said that. So you had a midlife crisis. So what's the subject again? God, for God's sakes! It is. There goes in my throat again. Does midlife have to be a crisis? My very, very, very strong opinion is no way.
No.
I feel like midlife crisis is where that term comes from, is people weren't listening to that person when they were going through that.
Right.
So they said, oh, it's just, that bald guy in a freaking convertible red Corvette.
Right.
He's going through a midlife crisis. It's like,
yeah.
Probably not. There's probably more to that.
Where I come from, we're like drug dealer. But yes, some people would see him and think midlife crisis. But I also think it's one of those things of, maybe have you taken a look at your life and thought, I'm not expressing what I want to do with my life enough to people around me for them to think I'm in a crisis?
True.
And how often are you taking a step back at your own life, no matter what age you are, where you're at in life, and thinking, is this what I want to do, or is this who I want to be? Because if you do that enough, it's going to stop looking like a crisis and people think you're just flighty as heck and that you have no idea what you want in your life and really you're just trying to figure it out. And you're just like, well, this year I don't want to do that. I don't want to work at the same job all the time anymore.
No.
I want to go try this, and I can. So why not?
I can actually do this, and it's okay.
Right.
So what was the second thing you said?
I have your midlife crisis.
You are one of them. And I mean, by definition of how first we define midlife crisis. Like, it's not a crisis. It's a definition of a change in your life and something needs to give, and I need to express myself. Because I've said multiple times that my whole life has been a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
In a positive way. Like, it's okay to be in a not amazing situation and then do something different.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Now, it's not like one of those things of you just quit everything that you're doing all the time.
Right.
That's a whole different personality. But I've had multiple, by our definition, midlife crises. And realistically, I think my first one that people have defined it as was in my 20s, and then in my 30s, and then in my 40s. I was like, but I'm like, I've always been like this. Like, I don't think
every decade.
No, and that's another thing. I was like,
I mean, what you just said.
Do you want me to say a whole nother tangent? Like, I'll get ready for this. It's like, I really hate it when, not hate it. Yeah, I hate it. When we put music into decades. I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever.
Oh, this is a bigger tangent than I thought it would be.
No, but the tangent is like, there's some late 70s music that sounds like 80s music.
Yeah.
And it's not like all of a sudden 1980 came and all of a sudden we changed the genre of music, January 1st, 1980. And we didn't change the genre of music January 1st, 1990, 2000. It didn't happen, people. Yeah. So to put them into decades is so weird to me. It just really is. And the same with this. Putting somebody's growth into decades is so strange to me. It's like, well, I was in my 20s. I was like, but were you 29? I mean, if you're in your 20s,
yeah,
that doesn't mean 29.
Right.
And I was like, well, yeah, I was in my 30s. I was like, same thing. I was like, no, 39's pretty much 40, right? I mean,
how dare you? It's not.
All I'm saying is that ticker, that
right
to go click over to a 0 on the end doesn't all of a sudden I'm a different person today. It's like, no. So that's why when we talk about midlife, I don't feel like it's set on halfway through your life. Midlife, realistically, if you think about it, a midlife crisis probably comes earlier. No. Would probably become later if it's a true midlife crisis because you're a child.
That's true. Like you ignore the first 15 years.
Yeah, it was like the first 15 years, like your whole body's in flux.
Yeah.
So ignore that part. What's your midlife after that? I was like, I talk with my hands and yeah. So that was and yes, you were definitely one of them because I needed something. I mean, it's not like I went out and did something crazy, but I was looking for somebody that accented who I was. Like, let me be myself. Made me strive to be somebody better, and somebody that would allow me to do that for them too.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that and I didn't have that. And I mean, when I met her, I was single and everything, but that's what I was looking for, and I was not going to settle for somebody. I mean, I had some crazy relationships. That might be another podcast too. I'm getting subjects all right. We should jot this down. But midlife does not need to be a crisis.
Agreed.
Midlife is where you kind of find yourself and go, am I going to choose to be old right now? Or am I choose to be me?
Yeah.
Not go, okay, I was like, I'm going to live like I was in my 20s. You're going to die.
Right.
Like you can't handle, your body can't handle the same things at 20 when you're in your 40s. It just does not work. But you could do similar things.
Yeah.
You could still do adventures. You could still do fun stuff. You could still go skydiving and surfboarding and whatever.
Zip lining.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. All right, so I answered your 2 questions.
Okay.
Very long-windedly. Is that a word? Long-windedly?
It is now.
Windedly.
I mean.
Windedly.
Okay.
Windedly.
Too much. Well, I mean, what I wrote down is what we already answered.
No, but you had 2 questions. I answered them. And
I didn't have questions. I had statements.
What are your statements?
I already did. What else do I think about this? I feel like, it's one of those things of, I really feel like it's a moment in time where you just have to take a moment to think about where you're at and what you really want. And if you're not there, then you do something else. And for the people who think it's a crisis, then don't take them with you on that journey.
It's okay to leave people behind.
Right.
And we make up, I mean, we don't make up, yeah, we do. It's language. We make up words like people that are toxic, people that are holding you back. And it's like, well, those are the people that are not going on your journey with you.
Yeah.
So it's okay to separate yourself from them. We've talked about that.
And they might come back on the journey later on, but right now, they're not on this phase of your life.
It's totally fine.
All right, well, I think we talked.
I'm going back to it. Does midlife have to be a crisis?
What is happening? You've read it like 7 times.
Well, I'm trying to stay on topic because I really go off.
But I think we talked it.
Did we?
We're good, yeah.
Okay.
We did good. We can move on. Stop reading the message. It's the same thing.
Well, I know, but I was like, maybe there was something I missed.
No, we talked it.
Did I scooter explain that one enough?
Yes.
So if you don't agree with what I say, I applaud you because I'm not a popular opinion. Just not.
It's true.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't agree with me, let me know. I'd love to talk to you and not try and convince you.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
No, it's more about, I'd love to hear your side. And I was like, talked to a gentleman the other day, Gabe. Big shout out. Oh, we're not shout out yet, but nope. Burley Beverages. He's going to be there too. At the
Saturday.
Expo. Yeah. It's okay for us to have differing opinions. The difference is, are we going to force the other person to have your opinion? Or are we going to discuss things so that both of us can learn and our opinions can become either stronger, grow, knowledge, learn? Can we do that?
Yeah.
We can.
Hopefully.
The way you say it, we can.
We can.
But do we?
No.
Do we?
Most people don't.
Yeah. And I think that's where most of this conversation comes from. So if you differ from my opinion, I'd love to hear from you. If you differ from any of Sarah's opinions, which I don't, you'd be crazy if you do.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's crazy. She's a freaking genius.
Genius over here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, you know what I have to do next. Shout out! Shout out! Woo! That was, you're so loud.
What'd I do?
Like
I
can
scratched
hear
my nose?
No, I can hear your whole drinking.
My whole being over here. Maybe it's just really good ears, or I was like, I really got you some really good headphones.
I don't
Maybe
think
it's that.
so. Anyways,
no.
Do you want to go shout out first? Or you want me to go first?
Totally forgot what I was going to shout out.
I'll do mine.
You should see. Here's a funny. I mean, if you guys ever saw behind the scenes, the notes, like we've gone from like a printed out format to where we had a sheet and it had a title on it. Do you know what we have now? Sticky notes.
Yes.
And let's even go further than that. For hers, she has like little notes, and they're all organized going down her sticky note. Do you know what I have for shout out on my paper?
Nothing.
No, I have one. It says SO for shout out. That's literally all I have. And for the topic of the show, it says ML Crisis.
See, that's why you kept to look it up.
I was like, oh my gosh. So not most, all this is off the cuff. We did not write. We didn't even think about this till like 10 minutes before we started this show. Yeah. So just know that this is literally our everyday opinion.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I have 2 shout-outs. One, thank you, Ariel and Bailey, for giving us podcast ideas.
Yes.
Because we text you very late at night, and we apologize for that, but we thank you.
I don't apologize. They're up.
But they could have been tired.
Well,
we don't know.
then they wouldn't have responded. It's
That's
totally
true.
fine.
And then my other shout out is thank you, Smud, for not making the power stay off longer than a blip. Because
Holy cow.
the whole neighborhood went out tonight. The whole street went dark. And then while we were setting up for the podcast, by we I mean Scooter.
Yeah. She was walking the dog.
Yeah.
While I was setting up.
And all the power went out. And we were like, please come back on.
That was hilarious. I'm sitting here like going... so I do a couple tests just to make sure both of our mics are working. So I'm in the midst of saying... testing 1 2 3, and I do more than that. I always say testy because I think that's funny. And sometimes I say pumpernickel.
Oh, jeez.
Because I like, it has a lot of diphthongs in it. I feel it. No, it doesn't. Pumpernickel. No, it really doesn't. But it has a lot of P's and a lot of popping. Has a lot of popping noises.
Yes.
In it. Pumpernickel. So I try and test that we're not popping too loud and stuff like that. And as soon as I'm doing that, I was going testing. Like, was that loud?
No.
Okay, because it was super loud in my headphones when the power went out. And I was like, I'm sitting there in black going, all right. That happened like 15 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that this, well, we're not done yet.
Right.
Maybe
Shout out to Smud.
Yeah, we should just get it
Keep
done.
the power on. And it wasn't just us. We paid our bill. It was the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, fight the power. Fight the powers that keep our energy on.
Do you want me to remind you what your shout out was?
No, I know exactly what it is. I'm just joking. Like, if it's a strong shout out, then yeah. I think the problem I have about this one with the shout is I feel like we mentioned them too much recently, and I feel like, yeah, so that's a lot. But I did have an anniversary of my what do I call
Birth.
it?
Your born on day anniversary.
My born on day anniversary was this week. Was Wednesday?
Yes.
Was Wednesday. So my amazing wife, we're not big into celebrating birthdays. We're just not.
Yeah.
I mean, we celebrate each other on that day, but it's not about gifts and all that kind of stuff. It's more about just recognizing them and, hey, man, thanks for sticking around and being around. That's what I've done that my whole life. I have personally, not my children. Not all my children feel the same way. Not a lot of people feel the same way, and that's totally fine too. But she decided to submit it to another podcast, and it was a podcast that I recently was already on the week prior. So I'm like, that's why I feel like, okay, we're shouting these guys out every week. But I have to say. And I don't want to say PK and DK, but I just did. But I want to say Dorian. Like, my dude. Like, if you ever listen to this, my man, this is great. Like, you guys, all three were so amazing. Jessica was so amazing. Mm-hmm. Just as a family unit, the two couples.
Yeah.
So, you draw a good community crowd.
Yes.
And that's really few and far between.
Yes, agreed.
When it comes to anybody that's involved in entertainment.
Yes.
And not that I've been around, well, I've been around for a while, 49 years now. But I've seen a lot of people not be community oriented, and they have a very large community.
Yeah.
And vice versa, But you guys for shouting, like, just talking about me, and yeah, it was very heartfelt. I was like, this was so cool. Thank you guys for doing that. We played it at midnight.
Yep.
When it released, because Sarah wanted me to hear it.
It's hilarious.
Because you guys do such a good job of the dynamic in there, and that's another thing that you can't, an agent can't do.
Yeah, you can't fake it.
No, a talent agent can't do that.
Right.
It has to happen organically. So, thank you guys for that. That's my big shout out. I was like, if you listen to us, listen to them. It's not even close to this kind of podcast.
No.
At all.
Nope.
And sometimes Sarah has been, I have to be, full disclosure, I'm doing it on this podcast. Sarah steals some of the sounds the way she talks.
I do. Well,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, when she says, okay, bye. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Sarah, you got to stop doing that. That's their thing.
But that's my homage to them. So I
I know,
can do
but
it.
I was like, so I keep going.
There's no better way to say bye.
Yeah, there is. It's like
Bye is boring.
GTFO. GTFO.
So boring.
GTFO.
Oh, fine.
Oh, look at that. There's a word right there. GTFO.
No, that's also rude.
Not if you, I mean, if you listen to it, it's like, oh, what? Is he speaking a language?
No.
I could say it in an accent, like, GTFO.
Is that a language?
Yeah, that sounded like,
Did you mean an
sounded
accent?
Korean.
No.
I'm going to try it.
I don't think you should.
GTFO.
Okay. It's getting worse.
It's getting isms.
Yeah.
GTFO.
What's that?
Scottish.
All right.
Just GTFO.
Your accents are terrible.
But maybe I'll start doing that.
Oh, man. Just say bye with an accent. I'll say bye in a different language. Every time.
You're going to look that up?
I
You
mean,
only know, like, 1.5.
Yeah. Well,
I
do the
don't
ones I
even
know.
I don't even know English.
That's true. But you know how to say it in Spanish, at least. And French.
Yeah, au revoir. Isn't that Spanish?
Yes. All right, I think I've had enough.
GTFO. That's Spanish. GTFO.
Your accent's so bad. It's not even an accent.
No, it's alien. It's out of this world. No, but seriously, shout out. Thank you so
gosh.
much. It really means a lot because this is kind of our, I mean, we do some sillier stuff. This is our more serious. This is as serious we get.
That's not true.
What do you mean?
We've had seriouser ones.
Oh, no, I'm saying this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Is this is how we can get serious, and this is serious on here, but we are silly people by trade, but we felt this was kind of
Trade.
by
Nature?
what? Nature, by
Yeah.
trade. All right,
We're
I'm
just
getting
silly
worked
for
up.
work. I don't know what
We're
that
only
means.
silly for work. We're super serious in our personal life.
Oh, gosh. All right.
right.
We got to go to bed.
We're gonna.
We're exhausted, I
What do you
think.
mean go to? I can't go to bed after this. I have to edit the whole thing and.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
but
what
you'll go to bed.
That's what I meant.
Oh, dealing with talent. Does anybody know how to deal with talent? That's a whole nother podcast we should do. Dealing with talent.
Yeah, we should.
So
right.
I'm going to do this. My sign-offs from here forward is going to GTFO.
Okay. Adios.
Oh,
Con leche.
well, that's a lot.
That means goodbye with milk.
Oh. Okay, I'm out of here. GTFO.
Adios.
Bye.
Do you shudder internally when you witness a Karen going off on some innocent service industry worker?
Do you consume bad fan fiction and or have tattoos from your favorite TV shows?
Do you strain to listen in on the awkward date stories of strangers?
Is your family the worst and you just don't want to feel alone?
Then we might have the podcast for you. Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you can cringe with me.
Look up Cringe With Me on your favorite podcast directory.
Only one way to know.